So George Tekai is sharing some articles on Facebook that say all the Hunter laptop scandal is Russian disinformation, and that Giuliani doesn't know what he's talking about. All right. So we've got this article from Comic Sans, which I don't know what the affiliation is. George Takei's got a tab up on the top here that goes to his website for whatever. But I follow George on Twitter and Facebook, and he shared this article, and he seems to think that it's a big deal. Okay. First things first, this kid Colin Gosel, well, basically he's an Orange Man bad journalist. Oh, Orange Man bad. Oh, here's some Republicans that said dirty things. Here's some. Okay. Hey, Biden's blunt response to Trump's insult. Okay, so this is the kind of guy we're talking about here. Georgia GOP senator called out for racism. So we're not dealing with a real sharp tack to begin with. And you're going to see as we go through here, he's not much of a writer. Oh, okay, so here's the story. I'll just go ahead and read you the news. And this one's not going to take very long to read because, quite frankly, the guy didn't write very much. And it's not quite plagiarism, but it's lazy-ass journalism. Rudy Giuliani recently gave a story to the New York Post which has spawned several half-baked conspiracy theories related to Joe Biden. Okay. Half-baked conspiracy theories. Let me go ahead and tackle that real quick. We already knew it was incontrovertible that Hunter Biden worked for Burisma, and that the fact that he worked for Burisma was highly suspect because he's got no qualifications. There's no reason in the world that a company, let alone an energy company, would hire him other than his last name is Biden. That's not just something that we can speculate because we know it to be true from a mere perusal of his scant CV and resume. He literally said it in an interview. In a softball sympathetic interview that was intended to be a fluff piece to put the Burisma controversy to rest so that his father could run for president, he literally confessed that he was only able to get the job because of his last name. Further, we have the email. Giuliani has shown us the email from Hunter's lawyer demanding the return of the laptop from the computer repair store guy. And we have the receipt with Hunter Biden's name and signature on it that was issued from the repair shop when he dropped off the laptops, which gives the matching serial numbers. So it is incontrovertible that the laptops are his. That draws into question any suspicion that the information on them is somehow not genuine. It is especially telling and damning that the lawyer made a direct plea by email to try and have the items returned. That's a confession that there's concern about the contents and, that they're Hunter's laptops. So, I mean, this phrase, half-baked conspiracy theory, it's not technically a lie. No, it's not necessarily a lie. It may be that this reporter honestly believes that this is this reporter's honest opinion. It is entirely possible that he is sufficiently unintelligent to be unable to process the data and the evidence as it has been exposed. So, I'll give you that. It's possible that he's dumb and not a liar. The story was rejected by several news outlets, including Fox News, due to doubts about its credibility. Okay, so here's the story that links to. Oh, it's a Salon article. They've never had to print a retraction. Fox News rejected Hunter Biden expose. New York Post writer refused to put his name on it, reports. Let's not forget, Watergate started with an anonymous source. That the laptop exists is more substantial evidence than the Watergate investigations were begun upon. And substantially more evidence than the Russia hoax and the Ukraine hoax, the Russia 2, the Ukraine boogaloo that led to the actual impeachment. And I won't get into all the extra stuff about the FBI hiding evidence. We talked about that on this morning's show. But here we go. When former LifeLock spokesperson Rudy Giuliani, former LifeLock spokesperson. Oh no, I don't know what's happening, guys. My mouse is acting up. Okay, there we go. The Post, a sister company of Fox News, published the unverified emails in a Wednesday expose. The unverified emails. That's an interesting use of language. Again, we're talking about a paper that consistently uses anonymous sources, right? And yes, Watergate was done on an anonymous source, but these guys are constantly using nothing but anonymous sources. Unnamed sources, that's different, okay? But this constant anonymity thing, it just literally, if you are a person and can write an email to the New York Times or Salon, you can say anything you want. And if without including a name, you can keep yourself completely anonymous. And if it is Orange Man bad in nature, they'll just run with it. There is no verification of veracity at these publishers. But when it was published by the Post, many far-right conservatives on Twitter used it as evidence of a massive conspiracy involving the Democrat presidential candidate. Okay. He's using the phrase massive conspiracy Many far-right conservatives on Twitter used it as evidence of a massive conspiracy involving the Democrat presidential candidate. Yeah, it absolutely is that. It is evidence of a massive conspiracy. I mean, that Joe Biden extorted the president of Ukraine using U.S. taxpayer dollars and his authority as the vice president to elicit the conduct of an action which was clearly directly beneficial to his son Hunter. That's not in question. That's incontrovertible. That is a thing that absolutely 100% happened. And not only do we have incontrovertible evidence to support that occurrence, we have Joe Biden in open speech on video, not just confessing to it, but bragging about it. So that Biden conducted some dirty work there? Not in question. Incontrovertibly the case. Biden abused his office and authority to extort the Ukrainian president for the purposes of benefiting his son. We have that. What we did not have before the emails from the laptop was the evidence that Biden met with Burisma leadership shortly before extorting the Ukrainian president. The suggestion there is that he was actually either requested or instructed to do so by the leadership at Burisma. And here's where it gets interesting. And just real quick, just the caliber of this writer. Okay, so he's got like 3 sentences and then a tweet, and then a sentence and a tweet and a sentence and a tweet. This looks like my kid's freaking homework, where you give them a worksheet with a bunch of pictures on it, and you ask them to write 1 sentence under each picture describing it. The inadequacy of this writer is just stunning. So he says. So he's quoting someone who's quoting somebody. So he doesn't even get credit for this quote. Mr. Giuliani said he chose the post because either nobody else would take it, or if they took it, they would spend all the time they could to try to contradict it before they put it out. Pay attention to this language. Giuliani said to try to contradict it. And then you've got this guy, Steve Inskeep. It says, Giuliani says he chose the post because another paper might have wasted time fact-checking. And then we're back to the writer himself. Essentially, Giuliani says he took the story to the New York Post because he knew they wouldn't check the accuracy of the facts before publishing it. This is not a mistake. Right? I mean, maybe you have the goldfish memory and you can't remember what you typed literally 1 sentence ago, but this says that he was afraid the New York Post would fact check. You've got essentially Giuliani. So what you're saying is, nice job, sweetheart. No, Giuliani did not say fact check. Giuliani said try to contradict it. And let's be clear. You get these articles like the article on the Trump tax release. The headline says Donald Trump only paid $750 in taxes, and in order to avoid libel claims, the article actively contradicts the headline because the article attempts to use the actual facts to tell the lie. The lie that he only paid $750 in taxes. That's like the lie that the Democrats like to repeat. Corporations pay $0 in taxes. Okay, if you were to say some corporations pay $0 in corporate income tax, that statement is true. But that is a very different statement than corporations pay no taxes. If you say corporations pay no taxes, you either don't understand what corporations are or what taxes are, or you are a liar. The most probable case is that you somewhat understand corporations and taxes, and you understand them sufficiently to know that the statement corporations pay 0 taxes is a lie. That's what's happening here. Essentially, Giuliani says he took the story to the New York Post because he knew they wouldn't check the accuracy of its facts before publishing it. No. He said because other papers would waste time trying to contradict it. That's a very different statement. The New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, any of those press outlets, and let's remember, we're talking about the New York Post here. This is the 4th largest newspaper in the country. 4th largest in the country. This is not some tabloid rag. This is a legitimate publication. The New York Post is one of the tippy top. Frankly, the only ones above it are garbage. You look at the New York Times, they'll print anything that sounds remotely like Orange Man bad, including accusations that he hired prostitutes to urinate on a bed that Obama slept in out of spite. And they expect you to believe that our president, who is a germaphobe, was totally into that. That's the New York Times. This is the New York Post. This is a more credible, more reliable paper. This isn't. This is Comic Sans. This is a horseshit rag. And frankly, under normal circumstances, an article like this is beneath my contempt. It wouldn't get my attention. But here's the problem. Articles like this are being shared massively in a clear and active attempt by the mainstream media and social media to suppress and contradict, to generate a counter narrative against the Biden laptop story from the New York Post. The facts are looking pretty clear on this. The Bidens are crooked. They are crooked. So, this guy Hoke, I'd like to thank all the journalists and newsrooms who recognize that the real story is how a political smear got published and why. You know, Hoke, it's interesting you should say that, because I seem to remember a lot of Russia hoax being published. This DM Patrimono, if a media company wants to identify themselves as a news outlet, they should be subject to an audit that certifies them as such. Certified agencies would identify themselves. A major audit for an original certification in every 5 years. Minor audits annually in between. You know what? Let's do it. I would love to see the Rolling Stone and their gang rape hoax allegations go through that audit. I would love to see the New York Times and their Orange Man Bad Russia hoax articles go through that audit. I would love to see this article from the New York Post. Not this shit, the article in question. The article about Biden's laptop. I would love to see that go through the audit that this woman has in mind and compare them to one another. I would love to see CNN with Don Lemon's black hole, airplane swallowing black hole theory. I would love to see them go through this audit. I mean, bring it on, sister. Bring it on. I dare you. Considering some of the things Giuliani has attempted to pass off as facts in the past, this revelation shouldn't be especially surprising. This sentence right here, and by the way, this guy's only written about 6 or 8 sentences. The fact that I've been talking for, let me see, I can't see the clock, 17 minutes on this, I'll give him this. It's amazing how much horse shit you can cram into just over a half a dozen sentences. And my God, you got paid for this? So, and I mean, fair enough. It's infuriating enough that I'm talking about it. So, this sentence right here, considering some of the things Giuliani has attempted to pass off as facts in the past, this revelation shouldn't be especially surprising. He knows damn well that most of his readers don't actually have a broad knowledge of history, and they certainly don't have the narrow knowledge of history to be aware of any particular scandals surrounding Giuliani. He knows that he can say, considering things that so-and-so has done in the past, without mentioning anything, just keeping it vague, that his readers will just assume that there are in fact things to reference with this sentence. Now, it's possible, and I would say even likely, that there are a couple of things in Giuliani's past that can be referenced by this sentence. But I dare you to go look at his record hard. You'll find that Giuliani's a solid dude. Now, moving on. As you'll see, he just keeps reusing the same tweet to get the retweets from just normal plebs. In light of this, I suppose social media giants that restricted access to the story were acting responsibly. Oh, do you now? Oh, do you now? And here we go. Thanks to some stunning new reporting. Oh, Giuliani was also recently exposed as a useful but unwitting part of Russia's attempts to spread misinformation in the United States. Thanks to some stunning new reporting in the Washington Post. Yes, the Washington Post. Guys, if you're reading WAPO for facts, you should switch to Dr. Seuss. We now know that Rudy Giuliani was identified by United States intelligence agencies as a target of an active Russian intelligence operation to harm the candidacy of Joe Biden. So they're going to try to flip this to make this next claim. Trump was told by National Security Advisor O'Brien that Giuliani's anti-Biden info should be considered contaminated by Russian disinformation. And this is from the New York Times. On the New York Post Hunter Biden coverage, if there's any important story here, it's almost certainly about Giuliani's dirty tricks, not any wrongdoing by Biden. So, yeah, they're gonna go ahead and try to blame it, and here you go. You got a nice blue check mark on Twitter. If Rudy Giuliani is your source for a story on Hunter Biden, it's probably Russian propaganda. Is that right? Let's
Is this Russian disinformation, Director?
So, Maria, it's funny that some of the people that complain the most about intelligence being politicized are the ones politicizing intelligence. And unfortunately, in this case, it is Adam Schiff, the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, who, as you pointed out on Friday, said that the intelligence community believes that Hunter Biden's laptop and the emails on it are part of some Russian disinformation campaign. Let me be clear. The intelligence community doesn't believe that because there's no intelligence that supports that. And we have shared no intelligence with Chairman Schiff or any other member of Congress that Hunter Biden's laptop is part of some Russian disinformation campaign.
How about that? So, it's not Russian disinformation. There's no intelligence to suggest that. Funny thing about this claim that there's no intelligence to suggest that it's a Russian misinformation campaign. The FBI has had their hands on the laptops for nearly a year. They got it back in last December. So they've had all the time in the world to try and find proof that they clearly want. Because let's be clear, the FBI had their hands on this laptop, which contains evidence exculpatory to the claims against Donald Trump for the purposes of the impeachment that happened at the end of December and through January. You know, the impeachment that was ongoing and the only thing in the news while Donald Trump was first beginning to deal with the COVID. Yeah, that impeachment. So that suggests that the FBI was motivated, that they wanted this to hurt the Donald, and they still, in nearly a year, were unable to find evidence that suggests that ties this laptop to a Russian campaign. I don't know what else to tell you, George. Your article's bullshit, and you need to pull your head out of your ass because you're about to vote for Joe Biden. That's right, George. That's right. You're about to vote for a Chinese puppet to occupy my White House. Think about that.
That it's overtly false in order to confuse people. That is not what